Might you be sabotaging change by shutting down emotions? Because what if feelings weren't obstacles, but accelerants? We don't typically think of organizations as a place for processing feelings. I mean, we want spreadsheets, we don't want tissues. But when it comes to change, processing emotions might be one of the big unlocks. The shortest distance between your current state and your desired future state might not be the straight line that you've mapped out. It might be a deliberate detour through your organization's emotional landscape. I'm Michael Bungay-Stanier. This is Change Signal. This is the podcast where we cut through the blather and the BS and the noise to find the good stuff that works in change management. When we're producing our classic podcast episodes, well, I have these great conversations with brilliant thinkers and leaders about change, and then we leave a fair amount of that conversation on the cutting room floor. Great writing, as they say, is great editing. And because the promise of the podcast is to cut through the noise to find the change signal, we're making these episodes as tight and as lean and as useful as we can. And sometimes I just need to rescue some of the bits that didn't make the main interview, but they are too good to waste. This is one of those moments. This is one of those episodes. It's a short one, but I think you'll love it. Now, if you heard my conversation with Cassandra Worthy, you'll know that we talked about change enthusiasm, what it means to have and not have control, agency, and also how to deal with change cynics. So I hope you have a chance to listen to that. But towards the end of the conversation, I asked her about her change bugbear. I loved her response. What are the truisms about change that drive you nuts? The things out there where you're like, man, I don't know why people still think this is a thing, but apparently people still think this is a thing. What irritates you about the how change is talked about or practiced in organizations?
Probably my biggest irritation, and it's the thing that I have already alluded to that drives me into action as opposed to driving me nuts, is that emotion should be left at the door of business.
Right.
And it is most certainly true when leading or executing through change. And what I have found happens, and I grew up in this, right? Those 15 years I spent in corporate, this is what I experienced. There's this obligated talk at the beginning of an initiative that this is going to be really difficult. It's going to be really hard, but we got to pull up our bootstraps. We got to do this. It's important for the business. And then from that moment on, grit your teeth and bear it.
Right.
Don't talk about your emotions. Don't talk about your feelings. This is where we're going. Get on board. Let's go. We don't need your emotions. I think that is so antiquated. I think it's so wrong because when we leave emotion at the door of business, we leave humanity at the door of business.
Right.
And we can't afford to do that if we want to remain relevant, competitive, thrive, and win.
Yeah.
And so that is probably, the myth that drives me to purpose and drives me into action and irritates me the most is this idea that feelings and inviting feelings into the conversation is going to slow us down.
Right.
We don't have time for it. They have to get on board. I'm sick of all, they're just going to vent and complain and it's going to move us backwards. Just let it go, get on board and let's be about it. What I have found in our work, and this is something that we've embraced from speed racing, from car racing. And I forget the quote, but it's this idea of slowing down to speed up. Slowing down to speed up. And change, the same is true. You want to slow down so that you can allow individuals to process, to emote, to share their thoughts, their feelings about what they're embarking upon and what they're currently going through. Give them the space. Allow them to talk about what's inspired within them, where they think that we might go wrong, some ideas. What do we need to sidestep? How do they think we need to move forward best? Slow down so that you can hear that insight, so that you can allow individuals to process the emotion. Everyone's going to process a little bit differently, right? Because everybody wears change differently. So understand that as a leader. Slow down for that to happen because what you are gifting to your workforce is the opportunity to feel heard, to feel understood, and to let my emotions flow.
Right.
So I'm not bottling them up. I'm not waiting just so I can get on a Zoom call with people that I trust so we can vent. We can talk about how terrible this is, how dumb leadership is, and just be in the downward spiral. Let the emotion flow. When you slow down, you get them engaged on board, then you can speed up. Then you have people on board. Then they're with you because they know you're listening, right? And it's not just at the beginning, but then have multiple touch points. Okay, we're about 3 months in. Let's have another touch point. How you feeling?
Yeah.
How are things going? How are we, making things happen for you, messing up? What are your ideas? Have those frequent touch points, right? Listening sessions with your direct reports, with your teams, with your organizations, and allow feelings into the conversation. You're enduring trust and you're keeping them on board and engaged. And we've got the research to prove engagement goes through the roof when employees feel they can share their truest emotions about a given change initiative.
So there it is. Don't deny your feelings. Sure, it seems like it would make it easier. Keep the whole thing clean and neat and rational and spreadsheeted. But it just doesn't work out that way. I'm experimenting with these different types of podcast episodes, and I'm really curious to know what you think. Are these useful or not? So if you hate this, email me at podcast@thechangesignal.com and let me know what you think. Let me know why it didn't work for you, what you'd like to be different. And if you love it, well, perhaps you could leave me a glowing review on your podcast platform of choice. Maybe even mention it to a friend or a colleague who you think might like to listen as well. So thank you for listening. I'm glad you're here.